The
Good
Unacceptable
evening.
Podcast, finally.
The Unacceptables podcast. We're finally starting it up, trying it out, seeing
We
what's up.
are.
So yeah, I guess for those who, I guess it's not even doing the watermark. So you didn't get the you got an up you got obviously got an upgraded version, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, everybody, this is Restream for those of you who are up and coming streamers, podcasters, etc. We're checking out Restream. It's great, browser based, so it doesn't take up any space on your hard drive if you don't want it to. There's a great free version which I've checked out. Scott went ahead and got a pro version. But
No, actually, what I did is I got the standard version. There was a pro version. So with the standard version, I think you can add, I want to say two guests or 10 guests rather.
okay,
I don't know what the restrictions are, but definitely check it out. So far, with everything we've worked on and everything we've done, Restream seems to be the most functional and the least taxing on your system, the least taxing on your computer, and it takes no space. So I mean, you can run, you can run your OBS virtual cam. We will get that working for the next screen, so we can have our little fancy, or the next stream rather, so we can have our little fancy intros. But so far, I mean, geez, it works great. What do you think, Jay?
yeah, I think it's pretty good. I like it so
Yeah,
far.
good, good.
What's the monthly on that package?
Oh, I think it's like $10 a month. It's nothing.
$10. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
it's nothing.
standard.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
cool. So yeah, yeah. If you're into that stuff, that's one to take a look at. It seems to be good. I like it so far. This is day one, so Scott's worked with it more than me, but I like it
Well,
so
I
far.
mean, so the caveat there is that I've worked with it literally without streaming.
Hmm.
So this is the first stream with Restream. I hope everybody enjoys it. I hope that it's working well. We won't really know until we see it back later. But for anybody that sees this live, it might be a tragic error. I don't really know what's going to happen here.
Well, I mean, we can call this as part A of a review, right? And then we can come back later and offer some
Yep.
more info therein. Everybody
Yep.
likes to have review. I watch reviews before I download anything. I go to a review or check something. Why not save yourself a bunch of time? I recommend to everybody, if you find somebody who does good reviews on YouTube, follow them, turn notifications to all, because you can save tons of time. I've started on so many things that were just like garbage 10 minutes in, and it's 10 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah. Time and money.
And money
Instead of
sometimes. Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of paying for software or things you don't need.
Yeah.
And I will be doing a review in our channel on the Stream Deck Mini. So for any
Nice.
aspiring casters, just on this note, I've been working with the Stream Deck Mini. I don't really know anything about any of the other Stream Deck products, but for me, the Stream Deck Mini, for the size, for the footprint it takes up on my workspace, and for the functionality, I mean, it works perfectly. Everything you program in an OBS or any kind of streaming, it brings it up and it works perfectly. So,
Right
but I'm
on.
going to do a
Yeah,
review on
that's
that
cool.
later on.
I like it.
What do we?
Um,
So let's talk about gold.
let's talk about gold. Yeah. So the news is, I guess you've probably read it more than me, Mister Putin's saying firing back economically, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. So what I've read is basically the West has asked Putin to cap his oil per barrel price at $60 per barrel. And he said, sure, no problem. But in response, or rather in return, anybody from the West or anybody who wanted to buy oil had to buy it with gold.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that the US and Canada have no gold. They sold all their gold off. So right now, the US and Canada are both printing money, and it's paper money. It's invented money. It's money out of thin air, and it doesn't have any backing.
Yeah, that's
And
that fiat
that fiat
currency.
currency. And so what this is going to create is a massive problem for the West if they want to get oil through this Russian this Russian thing, because we don't have any gold.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, and of course, what that's going to mean is that all, if anybody, if anybody, you've probably all heard the term illiquid supply. That's what Bitcoin is. That's what gold is, silver, copper, borderline. But if you've heard that term illiquid supply, essentially what that means is that something is that there will be more of it mined. So generally something you mine, but there's a difficult process to that, and there's no guarantee that it will be mineable forever, which means that it has a somewhat limited supply. It's difficult to get, which means that it's somewhat finite. So that's what we call illiquid supply, which is what Bitcoin is, right? They're mining it all the time, but there's only so much available. And with Bitcoin, it's not quite as illiquid because there is only a certain number of Bitcoins left. And there's a halving coming up. So for those who are watching that, it's almost at what I would consider the bottom now. With the halving coming up, could be a good time to get the digital gold too. But I did want to walk everybody through some of the terminologies, a little bit of the history. We all hear a lot of terms economically all the time, and a lot of times they skip over those terms or they give a very poor description of them. So I just wanted to give everybody a sort of brief history of gold. I guess currency in general, gold being one of the major currencies, just to kind of to help everybody out understand. And then I wanted to talk to you a bit about, I'm a gold holder. I have been a long time. So I wanted to talk to everybody a little bit also about how the methods that you can use, because there's lots of options for that. It's not a limited thing. There's a lot of ways to get gold and precious metals in general. So we started with the currency system in ancient Lydia in the Western Hemisphere and ancient Egypt in the Middle East. And that started with, in Egypt, that was gold. Egypt had been using gold for a long time. In Lydia, that was gold. That was, between 1500 and 500 BC, it was gold. Rome kind of started the move towards silver. And that's because Rome, they were moving so far afield. They had such a vast empire, and they traveled really quick. And so silver was a little more practical because they needed something with a little more supply than gold. It was very hard to mine gold back then. They didn't get a lot of it at a time. And most of it came from Nubia, which was still Egyptian controlled when Rome came to power. They were partners with Egypt, and they got most of their grain. Strangely enough, Rome got most of its grain from Egypt in the desert, because that's how fertile a floodplain is. Anyway, I digress.
Let's not go into climate change.
Yeah, exactly. Rome used drachma type of system, just like the Greeks, which is called denarii. They were, as I said, they were silver pieces, and essentially they needed the actual physical currency because they had all these soldiers moving forward. They had to buy things, they had to trade, etc. So they're hauling around these big chests of silver. One of the things that caused Rome to collapse was the fact that they were running out of silver. The empire was way too spread out, and they were very corrupt. And so they started to clip the silver coins, trim some of the silver off of them, got a little bit smaller. And this is where, and they had a face on the coin. And so when they would clip these, they would ruin the face that was on the coin, and therefore we get the term defacing. This is where the term for defacing money comes from. That was because Rome would clip their silver coins. When they started doing that, the soldiers noticed it. They're not going to fight for something that they know that they can clearly see. Like, there was lots of talk of the corruption, but now they see it. They get a handful of silver for their and it's a bunch of clipped coins. You don't want that. They left Britain. Most of the Roman soldiers fled Britain. They just abandoned the army and either settled in Britain or left. And that's why Britain was the first part of the Roman Empire. It all fell apart from there. Then it remained silver for a long time, until the late 1800s. 1870 was the Franco-Prussian War, which is, the unified Germany at this point. All the 36 German territories, little feudal territories, all conglomerated into the Prussian Empire. They immediately went after France when they took Paris for the first of 3 times. They took all of the gold that was there and brought it back. And they then decided, we really should go to a sort of system where banknotes are old by this time. Sorry, I skipped over that. Banknotes are old. And the banknotes That was in the United States in the 1600s. Britain was using them as early as the 1400s. Like, banknotes are old news. And the Germans said, well, we have these banknotes and everything, and our monarchy is promising that, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe we would be the ideal trading partner if we took all this gold that we have now, recalled our notes, printed notes that match the amount of gold that we have, so that it's gold backed, right? And so this was a brand new theory, but it just so happens that next door in Austria, Munger had just written the theory of economics, which is where we get the term Austrian economics. If you've heard of Austrian economics, if you know anybody in Bitcoin, you'll hear them run their mouth about it. They probably don't know anything about it. But what it basically is let the market do its thing. The market will decide. The market is really smart, way smarter than any one person, because it's the combined wisdom of a million people, right? And you cannot force it. He basically gave us the concept that you cannot force a market. You can't make people. You can't say, well, we've decided that the price of plums are too high, so what we're going to do is force you to charge less for plums, and we're going to elevate the price of that. And the market goes, I didn't want that. I wanted the plums. That's why they cost more. This is supply and demand. If there's more demand than the current supply, the price goes up. If there's more supply than the current demand, the price goes down. So we used to have. We learn about that in school, but nobody tells us that doesn't exist anymore. Nobody has that.
These are basic supply and demand principles.
That are gone.
For those of you that aren't familiar.
Yeah, the only place that still exists is in commodities to a certain degree.
Agreed. Yeah.
But then you purchase the commodities with your fiat currency, which is a currency that is not backed by a physical gold. It's a promise. You're buying debt, right? If you have money from paper money from any country besides Japan and Australia, you're purchasing debt. Now, Japan and Australia are backed. Well, Japan's not quite 1-to-1, but they have a very high percentage of their money is backed by physical gold. Shitty gold. The Japanese gold isn't very good. Australia's gold is really good, and they have it backed. So the Australian money is safe. It's why people want to go there. It's why everybody wants to work with them. They have all the lithium. They have tons of oil that they've just found. If you can get into Australia, do it.
And they have a tyrannical government. Certainly, if that's of interest, you can go there and
that's true. Although they
COVID
had
lockdowns.
Although they did make the correct vote, and they have a new prime minister from the party who was anti-vax, but we'll see how that turns out, because a lot of times they'll say this and then they get into office and what did I say? I didn't say that.
That's another live stream.
Yeah, we'll see. My sister's in New Zealand, so she'll let us know. So anyway, the Germans went to gold standard. They adopted the Austrian economics, and they quickly became the dominant force in the world economically. It's why World War I happened, because Germany had all the money, all the infrastructure, everything. Everybody decided that they wanted to push them around. Germany decided to push back. In order to fight that extremely strong German economy, what the Allies did was they went off of the gold standard. Everybody thinks we went off the gold standard in 1971. Not at all true. It happened in World War I. A gentleman, his name escapes me. Somebody from the Central Bank of England figured out, okay, we're just going to start selling bonds, which is an old theory from Italy. We're going to start selling bonds. People will say to people, hey, invest in us because we're fighting a war. So please, people of England, buy these bonds. It's our debt. So the people buy the bonds. When the price of England goes up, then the price of your bonds go up, etc. So they kind of ditched gold standard at that point in England, which is, the United States too, although United States was still kind of flush from the San Francisco gold rush. And
right.
And so World War I ends. They heavily penalized Germany way too much, some think. Anyway, a gentleman by the name of Keynes, you've heard of Keynesian economics. Keynes was the one who figured out that we can simply just have a new economy called fiat. It's promissory notes. It's, money will be still legal tender-ish, and we'll just keep selling people this our debt, and we will and then that's when the concept of these economic easements, the concept of just print money when you need it came in at that point. Before that, it was quite a process. You still had to get a parliament vote, and you had to go through a heavy process. Now it could just be central bank says, we're running low on money. Somebody else goes, yeah, print it, and away you go. And it's killing your supply. If you basically, my grandfather was born in 1896. And if he had $1,000 in 1896, yeah, sounds good. If he had $1,000 in 1896, today that would be worth a lot, right? No, it wouldn't. It would be worth nothing, absolutely nothing. It's the other way around. What they do is you obtain wealth, you obtain money, you obtain holdings, and then your government takes and makes your holdings worthless. Every time they print money, they're pissing on your holdings and saying, your holdings are worth shit now. What bigger slap in the face is there, right? So this goes on and on, Keynes to Nixon. When it comes to Richard Nixon, the United States does not have gold to back up everybody's money. At this point, everybody had adopted the US dollar as the central currency of the world. And because of the San Francisco gold rush, the US was supposed to have that all backed up, or be entitled to promissory notes. Now, after World War II, things get a little bit better. Some countries start to improve, but they're a little bit worried. It doesn't seem like the United States has enough gold. So they start calling in gold. They start requesting their gold, asking for it to be shipped. And we find out that there isn't enough gold. So Richard Nixon takes the world off of the gold standard completely. Now we have fiat currency, the endless money printer, the dollar milkshake, all of this garbage. This is one of the reasons that people have been getting into gold, why they've been protecting their assets with gold. And it's diversifying, right? If you have money in a bank account, it's losing value every single day. If you don't get at least 8% annual return from your money in a bank, you may as well burn it. Like, you may as well have it in your house, because it's just losing money. If you're on a 0.6% interest on your money, you're getting hosed by about 7% a year, right? It's ridiculous. You don't want to do that. I mean, you should have some there, sure, to be accessible, to have it just in case suddenly things turn around. Maybe it could go to the moon. You never know. But this is why people have silver, like bonds or commodities, why they invest in companies, why they have Bitcoin, why they have physical gold, so that their wealth is in a number of places, so that if any one of those fails, they have a backup plan. Okay. So this is the reason, why at this time, when we have a really, it's very likely that the gold price is going to go very high very soon. So this is why we need to start getting into gold. Why I would recommend, and I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not saying you're safe to go into gold, but what I will say is it's generally always a good idea to go into gold. I don't think that's a risky proposition for you to go into. It doesn't suddenly lose its value overnight like money does when U.S. Congress decides that they're going to print $1.7 trillion more, and they're the world's central currency. Get hosed on that, right? So, I think it's a good idea to get into gold at this point. Here's how you do it. Number one, very important. When I said the Japanese gold isn't very good, gold is traceable. So it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. That's a hit or miss thing. Gold is highly traceable. You take a piece of gold to the right person, they can look at it under a microscope and they can tell you where it came from. Not just country, but region. There's 6 kinds of gold in Canada, for instance. And a good goldsmith can tell you where in Canada that gold came from, right? So in the case of Japan, they've taken and conglomerated every little cheap piece of gold that they could find in the world and billeted that, right? It's not really good gold. South American gold is poor, especially that rose gold. Sometimes you'll see jewelers trying to sell that for extra money. Rose gold is terrible. You do not want that. If gold has a reddish hue, it doesn't mean it's fancy. It means it's garbage. Your best bet is to go with.
Sorry to interrupt. Tell that to my wife.
Yeah. I know.
She loves her. She loves her rose gold.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is usually cheaper, and it should be, all right. So yeah, I mean, Australian gold is good. Australia has its own gold, quite a bit of supply. It's really good. South African gold is really good, but people generally have a bad taste in their mouth, so you'll run into people who are kind of snarky about that. German gold is good. Swiss gold is good. I personally stay away from it because that's the home of Klaus Schwab and his band of merry men, and I just
it's also usually I notice there's a surcharge for Swiss gold compared to other gold.
Yeah.
It's all still tested at 24 karat. It's all still the same thing, but because it says Swiss gold, it costs more money. That's ridiculous.
Oh, well, it's a banking society, right? The fees in Switzerland, like when you go there, you get a receipt for a burger. It's as long as your arm because there's surcharges and fees on everything there. It's
oh wow,
it's a really wild society. But so there's the one thing. So if you're going into gold, those are the things that you should know. There's some kinds of gold you want to hold, and there's other kinds that I don't recommend you hold. Australian, I think, is your best bet. Canadian's good too. U.S. gold, not so good because, and don't purchase gold in the United States. Don't hold it in the United States.
Well,
gold that's in the United States belongs to the United States. You're
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Never hold. Yeah, never hold any gold assets in the States. And from what I've seen, not only do you not know if you own it, but also the quality is negligible. Like
it's like the Japanese.
The quality is it's not as good as say Swiss or whoever else.
Yeah, and that's because because of the San Francisco gold rush and everybody saw Germany do so well. They said, hey, let's do a gold standard. The U.S. has all the gold. We'll have them store it and we'll make their dollar the central currency and we'll just buy and sell it from them. And so with everybody swapping the gold in and out of the States, it just became all watered down, like the Japanese gold. So, yeah.
I'd like to extend a special welcome to our one viewer, by the way, who's probably bored to shit. But either way, this is our new disaster. So welcome. Thanks for joining us here on the channel. Sorry,
absolutely.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, it's a little late at night for a live, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll take it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for showing up. Okay, so that's a bit of the broad strokes that you can look at. Another important factor is that in today's age, you have different options here. Okay, so you can have this stored in a vault. As I say, don't do that in the States. Here in Canada, you can have it stored in a Brinks vault. It's been there since before there was a Canada and Alberta. It's in Calgary. And that's used by Digex Gold, has all their gold stored there. Paxos did until recently. Now, Paxos is now housing their gold at their headquarters, which is in Manhattan. And so,
can we take a pause here, Jay, and just explain a little bit about what Paxos is and what Digex is? So, sure. Paxos is a gold-backed crypto called PaxG, as well as a gold exchange house, as is Digex. So it makes it so that you can buy gold. Sure, gold futures, you can buy that as well, I suppose, from your
Mhm.
Kraken or from your different apps. But
Yeah,
you can buy physical gold through a crypto that is backed by gold.
yeah,
So
and they have a
Paxos,
wonderful.
PaxG, or
In both of
Digix.
those cases, if you're holding Pax G, which is Paxos's crypto, if you're holding DGX, which is Digix's um, token, you can go to their site and you just enter the number of your token, like your crypto token's going to have a serial ID. You enter that, and they will give you the serial number for the gold that's attributed to that, right? And you can go as small as you can go into grams, like you can go down to 20 to, yeah, I think $20 for. I was just looking at that when you mentioned that earlier, Scott. I think it's
Yeah.
21.78 or something is the minimum.
Yeah, it's around $20
Yeah,
for the smallest increment, and
yeah,
which gets you into the gold market. And let's keep in mind, like,
and
gold
the crypto
never,
market.
in the crypto market, which is, but in a safe, comfortable way. I mean, gold will never lose its value,
That's right.
right?
Right.
So I mean, so for those of us, I include myself in this, that were like, well, this crypto is it real money? Is it a real thing? Can it be, old school, and can you take it and trade it for cash? Not that you would want to do that, or a car, or some stocks or whatever. You can do that
Mhm.
because
Yep.
your crypto is literally physical gold. And if you
Yes, sir.
decide one day you want to say, fuck this crypto market, pardon my language, screw this crypto market, and just get out, you can go and cash it out into gold bars or into silver or into cash or into any sort of form of crypto that you like, whether it be Bitcoin or anything else,
Yep.
with no risk. I mean, there's no risk, and gold has never ever gone down. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's not true. I'd be lying if I said that. On
It
average,
it
over a
it,
whole
it, it
over a
went
whole
down in
year,
2011.
it did,
That's
but
it.
not for the whole year.
Yeah. No. No. Just one
Not for the
time.
whole year. It's still, so
Yeah.
it may be slow. It may not be your hottest gain as far as, a market entry goes. You may not be like, holy shit, it just went up 50 points and down three. So I'm going to sell, you're not going to put in a lot of buy and sell orders for gold, but it's never going to go down.
Well, the primary principle is they can't print it. Right? If
Exactly.
anything that can't be printed is stronger just to begin with, right?
And
Um,
if we're even close to right about this, or rather if the world, not that we are forecasters and we're not by any means financial advisors, but if the world, if politics are even close to right, and Putin does decide to charge, or rather to only allow his gold or his oil to be bought with gold,
mhm.
there'll be a dramatic increase in the price, and some people forecast it will double.
Yeah.
Again, we're not financial advisors, we're not market forecasters, so neither one of us will make that claim or say that that's something we know anything about. But what we do know, and what both of us have researched, is that Putin has now said, if you want to buy my oil, you're going to have to pay for it in gold. And the
Yeah.
U.S. and Canada don't have any gold in their reserves.
Yeah. And even though
So,
we're not financial advisors, we're getting this information from financial advisors, people who are
right.
licensed to do that, and we will certainly cite those sources on the app along with anything else that we happen to quote,
Yeah,
and you'll be able to go
absolutely.
and look at that if you want to.
Yeah,
Don't believe what anybody says without a little bit of confirmation, including myself.
yeah, and
No
me as well.
problem being questioned.
Yeah,
Um,
same here.
and it's just simple common sense, right?
Yeah,
And so that's the crypto method, and it's a good one. And if you go that route, there's and it can get really easy to do. A lot of people think it's really hard to get into crypto. It's not. You go with KuCoin, for instance, or coin or crypto.com or CoinSmart, and
right.
you just do an EFT to this exchange, and your money's on that exchange, and you can get whatever you want. You can take that money back out in an EFT. Costs $0.00. It takes about, I think the last time I put money on KuCoin, it took 14 minutes. it's that quick and easy. And so,
Wow, that is
as you're
fast.
sitting there right now, you could go on to KuCoin. You could have a picture of your gold bar within a half an hour. So, I mean, that's impressive stuff, and very quick and simple and easy. So, and the same is true of CoinSmart. CoinSmart is the number one crypto that's actually in Canada. It's Canadian regulated. It's good with the central bank, etc. It's on Canadian soil. You don't convert over. You don't have any conversion rate fees or anything like that, like you do with the others. But so there's a few different places where you can do that stuff, and there's lots of ways to onboard into crypto that's quick and easy. Now you can also, and this is, given the political situation that we find ourselves in Canada, that the United States finds itself, that most of the world finds itself in, and you're a little bit worried about what they're going to do to crypto, especially as SBF's on trial, and you're a little bit worried about not holding it yourself. If you go with something like, for instance, if you're Canadian, then the Calgary Silver and Gold Bull Company, you can literally have Brinks. You can purchase gold from them, and you can have Brinks deliver that to your house in a tamper-proof sealed. It'll be in a blister pack,
Right.
tamper-proofed. You'll get that. It'll have a serial number.
But that's not a format that's available on a crypto type of format exchange where you could
No, that would be the physical. If you want to have it
physical
in your
gold.
house because you think everything's about to
Uh,
burn to the ground, then that's what you
Yeah,
do. Yeah,
fair enough. So
yeah. But I mean,
may,
if it's on a crypto, like I say, you get your EFT.
mhm.
It suddenly looks like the country's going wild because of this situation with Russia. You get your EFT. Um,
Yeah.
you go to the bullion, you get the physical gold, you order it, or you could drive
Right.
and pick it up, whatever.
Right.
Right? These
Right.
are your options, right? For different strokes for different folks. Or you could go half and
Yeah.
half. If you're looking to get 20 grand worth, maybe you go with half crypto gold and you go with half physical gold, right? Another way that you can do the gold and silver thing is you can cruise pawn shops, secondhand stores, and antique shops, and you can get cheap gold and silver jewelry and stuff. You find somebody probably on something like Facebook Marketplace or
Mm-hmm.
online chat groups, or even some pawn shops, and you can have them recast that, which will purify it, and they'll just charge you a small fee, and then you'll have that gold, and it's typically going to be a 30 or 40% rebate on what the price of bullion would be. So you can gather a lot of gold for way cheaper with a little bit of effort. You'd have the gold, and you're better off that. And then it's not on paper anywhere. It's not somewhere in a
Right.
vault with
Right.
where somebody wrote down, oh, we're sending this brick of gold to this address, right? You go and gather it yourself. Nobody really knows it's there. And you could do the same with silver as well. It's a fairly easy process. If you wanted to get into the business of doing that yourself, you're looking at about $300 to $400 setup fee to get. You need a map torch, you need a little kiln, you need some equipment, but really minor. So these are all the different routes that you can take to get there. But yeah, the least invasive way to do it, that's safest, that isn't going to have your money disappear, is to get it crypto gold, to get your PAX G, to get your DigX. I'm suggesting DigX because the PAX G is in New York, and like I say, nobody owns American gold that's in the United States except for the president of the United States. And at any time, they could just kick down your door and take it, or kick down the door at their vault and take it out of there or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't trust the States as far as gold. I don't trust the States in a lot of ways, but particularly with gold. That was 1933. Teddy Roosevelt created the law that says America owns all the gold that's on American territory.
Yeah.
I don't know why people tolerate that, why that hasn't changed. I know that Donald Trump talked about taking a run at it. Another thing that he didn't cash that check, but so that's just, Scott mentioned that we should take a look at that. I've been in it a long time. I actually have a friend that lives nearby who has a kit to recast, and so I do watch the pawn shops, secondhand stores, and any auctions that are nearby. I do go pick up some silver and gold, and so I think I have 2.5 kilos of silver, which isn't a lot of money, but silver also has a lot of utility. You can purify water with it. It's
Yeah.
antibacterial, viral, antifungal. You can actually make weapons with it. Gold is valuable because everybody says it's valuable. I've never seen the utility in it. It's not going to feed you. If the
Well,
apocalypse comes tomorrow, you're not going to feed yourself with gold. The only
no.
thing some young head with it.
For sure, but I mean, gold has been used for a very long time in microprocessors and stuff.
Yeah,
As the main conductors and stuff. So
yeah,
there is still a use for it. But I
yeah.
think it's more for me. I look at it like more like this is what is considered a standard of exchange, a standard of currency.
Hmm.
As has silver. I'm not taking away
Yeah.
from silver,
Hmm.
but if you want to buy 15 grand worth of silver, you're going to need a large area to store it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
you want to buy
yeah.
15 grand worth of gold, you're not going to need much space.
And then the other factor with silver is it's volatile. It will go up really fast and it can
Yeah.
make you rich real fast, but it can
Hmm.
go down super fast too. It moves a
Hmm.
lot more than gold. Gold's
Hmm.
fairly steady.
Yeah.
Um, silver goes big time because they mine a lot more of it. They find silver when they mine gold, when they mine copper, when they mine diamond. Silver is always present with a lot of different metals, even lithium. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
it's just they just happen to have a lot more of it. You don't have to make and they're still pulling silver out of the gold mountain in Argentina as well. So there's a huge silver. So that's the thing. And those are the precious metals that we all have access that you can get your hands on at any time. Um, it would be nice to have a lithium mine for sure because that's definitely the new gold. I mean, they're kiting the price of that to it's competing with platinum at this stage, and lithium and like I say, Australia is gonna get very powerful by virtue of the fact that they have most of the lithium. So
Yeah, they've got a
that's
lot of
really
lithium
interesting.
there, as does there's a bunch of different areas of the planet that have a bunch of lithium.
Kazakhstan too.
Kazakhstan does. There's
Kazakhstan
a
too.
few areas.
But now you got to go through Russia to get to Kazakhstan now.
Exactly, which was very much on purpose.
Oh yeah, certainly, yeah. Yeah. Well, and the moon. There's quite a bit of lithium in the moon, so that may, though
That
nobody said it out loud, I think part of the real heavy push all of a sudden to get to the moon is because
Oh,
there's
we know
lithium
why.
up there.
We know why. That's why the Chinese were up there first with their rover. They're taking mineral samples and sampling things and doing
Yeah,
some sort of ground penetrating radar for things and stuff and sending that data back
yeah.
because they want to
Well,
get on that faster than we do, right? So,
yeah, and I mean the clock's ticking now. Artemis came back safely; they're ready to
yep,
go.
yep.
So basically, next November, um, the next Artemis heads up. Between now and November, Elon may have already dropped off some equipment, and they'll start building a colony next fall. So
So, and I mean, far be it for me
it's
to
wild.
forecast or try and even imagine myself to understand, any of this stuff, this sort of astronomy stuff or space stuff. But something tells me that mining the moon for lithium isn't going to go well, and I don't know why. I mean, maybe these guys have figured out everything, but I don't know. Something tells me it's not going to go well.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why.
I mean, no, there's certainly complications, and the major plans for the moon. I mean, what Elon wants to do with the moon is essentially have enough of a facility there where they can build Falcon 9s or Falcon 10s on the moon in order to get to Mars, because they don't have to break the atmosphere. The energy required to get from the moon to Mars is 3 times more efficient than from Earth to Mars. And Elon's got a 5-year plan to begin the Mars colony. So, and that's probably relevant to the fact that he's made some significant breakthroughs. And now SpaceX claims that they will very soon be able to break the speed limit that Einstein set for the universe.
So that's man. We need a whole other live stream for that. I think we should stick to the gold thing, because that's a whole other exciting live stream.
So I mean, there's the thing. It's a smart thing to do. If you put, like I said before, if you put your money into a bank account right now, and you're not getting 8% interest per annual, you're losing money. It's a stupid thing to do. If you get 0.6% interest back on a savings account, well, inflation's currently eating 6 to 10%. That's a lowball figure, the bullshit number that the government gives us. It's a really lowball figure, but that's what you're losing per year. So if you're not getting 10% interest, you're losing money just by owning it. That's the thing about money. It's burning in your hands.
Yep.
Same with if your boss isn't giving you a 6% raise every year. Again, you're getting demoted every year.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The cost of living is more than 6%, and you're not getting 6%.
Yeah. I mean, I had one job in my life where we literally got a raise every year on January 2nd when the inflation number was announced, and we got what the inflation number was, and then maybe more if we were real fucking brown nosers or whatever. But
you must have had a good union.
Christian Laborers Association of Canada, CLAC. We had the CLAC.
It sounds like that's a plug right there.
Diamond mines. We
Yeah,
predominantly worked in diamond mines. Speaking of diamonds is close enough to gold that we may, just as an FYI, a fun FYI for everybody. The diamond industry was created after FDR decided that people could no longer own their gold in the United States. And diamonds were used before that. But when they started becoming the wedding ring thing at that point, because people said, we need to have a store of value in our house. So they went back to the practices of pirates, and that you wear your savings account on your finger.
On your
walk
fingers,
around with that. If times get really bleak, you got a backup plan. You got a bug out. And that's where diamond wedding rings come from. It's not an old tradition. 1940s. But
not that long ago.
No, these are some of those things that they don't lie to us about, but they sure don't go to any effort to let us know how it works. That's for sure.
Oh, they sure
You'll
don't.
never go to a jeweler who tells you the history of diamonds.
And you'll never go to a school that teaches you about economics and budgeting.
They're actually funny enough.
So for the home, I suppose
there's a few universities now who have Austrian economic professors, and they teach Keynesian economic theory and Austrian economic theory. That's really interesting, and the reason for that is $9 trillion. Gold industry is $9 trillion, and crypto's over $1 trillion now. So there is a reason to know Austrian economics, because these digital assets function on Austrian economics. Yeah. And that's right in the Satoshi white paper. If anybody's ever wants to actually know about Bitcoin and they, everybody always says scam and a rug pull and all this, you can read the Satoshi white paper and it'll tell you what it is. And it's available anywhere online.
You know what? I think we'll go one further. I think we'll add some of this into the description later on. So
for sure.
People can go ahead and click on that and find it.
Yeah.
And
actually, I will go so far as to put the Satoshi white paper itself, which is open source, right on Rabbit Hole Radio, because I think that's one of the more important documents, maybe the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, and the Satoshi White Paper. These great documents that mean a lot. Maybe we'll just have those there, and so people have access to them and don't have to look for them. But yeah, look up the links on the episode. We'll have all the information there. I promise you.
Yeah, for sure.
And, we really want the Rabbit Hole Radio app to be not just an this is predominantly entertainment. We're not doctors, we're not financial advisors, but we want it to be a learning avenue, a hub for factual information that hasn't been polished by anybody crooked.
And we will be touching on some other subjects that may be a little bit more sensational than this.
Oh,
one,
yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, we got to rock the boat.
Exactly. We got to rock the boat. We got to piss some people off. Fuck them.
Yeah.
But this is one where both of us said, things are happening real quick here. People need to know this. So I wanted this to happen. And I'm glad you did too, Jay, for those of us that are going to see this, or those of you that are going to see this, we're down to zero, or one viewer, 0 viewers, one viewer. I don't know. We have a viewer. We have one viewer.
Bouncing in and out. That's funny.
Bouncing in and out. But at the end of the day, so this is just one of those ones where we felt the need to get on here right away, and let you guys
unplanned.
know. Unscripted, unplanned. So we didn't have anything prepared. No fancy music, no fancy intros or anything. And I think that should speak to how important we feel this is. Because I from what I read, from what I understand, correct me on the timeline, Jay, please, if you want to. We have until the end of this calendar year to sort of look at gold as an investment, because by the new year, apparently, Putin will put this sort of deal in place where if the West wants to buy oil from Putin, they got to pay for it in gold, and that will dramatically increase the price. It may double it. I mean,
yeah, like if you're watching this and it's still the week, phone somebody, call some people, check it out. Phone the closest place that houses gold to where you are. If you're in Western Canada, that's Calgary. If you're in Eastern Canada, you're looking at Mississauga.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto.
And that's the same thing. Yeah, but yeah. So, and if it's on the weekend, we'll look for some videos in the description. I'll put they won't, if you're watching this on Thursday, they won't be there yet, but by the weekend I'll make sure that there's a whole bunch of links available. I may produce more video content for you and put it up. I'll show you some channels on YouTube that may have dived really deep on this, so you can go down that rabbit hole.
And that's just understand sort of, maybe we should reinforce the urgency of this.
Monday.
They may well put that in place by Monday. So by Tuesday, the price of gold may be doubled. And if it does double, by the way, Jay and I will take a small, what do we take? 1%? If anybody wants to donate 1% to our cause, we'll leave a GoFundMe link in the description for our future endeavors. But if this works out and you guys take our advice, and our one viewer takes our advice, then at least there's that, and somebody made some money. Both myself and Jay, I think, are going to shift some of our holdings into a little bit more gold influenced.
I now have to see. Okay, so the reason that I know that Paxos is not working out of Calgary anymore is because I have to sell my gold that's in New York, and bring it to and purchase gold in Canada or Australia or something to not own that U.S. gold.
Is that not translatable into PaxG so that you could just do it into DigX?
I have some in PaxG. I have some in physical gold. So
they make you separate it? or they allow you to, I suppose.
It is
Okay.
separate. And that's regulations, right?
Okay.
They have to
Okay.
be. So I don't know how quickly that happens either. That'll be my
Okay.
first call in the morning. I'm actually glad that this came up, that you brought this up. Even if the price doesn't go to the moon or something, I'm just glad that I knew so that I could get my gold out of the States, because I don't want it to be there,
No, we
especially
don't.
while that tyrant's in the office. You never know what could happen.
Not that ours is any better. Actually, he may well be worse, but at least
Yeah, but at least he would
he's not
have to.
controlling the gold market.
He would have to change some things, and he would have to go through bankers to do that rather than
Right.
with the support of bankers, and that's the one entity that'll put the brakes on pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them and insurance companies, right? So yeah, no,
Right.
I think everybody should. I mean, if you are currently invested heavily into something, maybe it's time to diversify. If you're holding a bunch of money in an account that is just getting burnt
If
every month, maybe it's time to diversify.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, like anybody who's been into crypto has lost a bunch of money, and anybody who has
Nope,
holdings
not
in
me.
gold, well, I mean, depending on who you are and how smart you are and how good you are at crypto, which Jay and I will not tell you who is good at that.
I sleep like 2 hours a day. That's why I haven't lost
Yeah,
money in crypto.
well, I mean, exactly. Most of us don't have that kind of ability.
Yeah.
So back to the point here. If you were worried about crypto or any of these other things before, gold has never gone down. And I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but it's sort of important to note that like it's a solid investment. So if you've lost a bunch of money in other areas, just put it in there. And you know what? If it's in a smart place, it's outside of the view of, let's say, your particular government. In our case, it's in Canada. If it's outside of their view and outside of their control, then if things go for a shit, you still have that gold.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and Jay is right, and it's actually quite good advice to have some of it be physical, in your hands, so to speak,
Yeah.
and
Diversify.
some,
You'll never ever
yeah.
find a financial planner who won't tell you to diversify.
And
No
if you do,
such
you
no
should
such
fire
thing.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do, you should fire them for sure,
Yeah.
for
Don't
sure.
put all of your eggs in any basket. No
No,
basket
no,
can hold all the eggs.
no.
Yeah.
And I've
So I
known
mean, I mean,
people who were totally sold and convinced that crypto was the answer to their, to their aspirations of being millionaires, and they were wrong.
mhm.
Crypto looked great for a long time, and then everything went for a shit. And so
well,
that's what
or
markets will do, right?
or the greatest single day loss in stock market history. You probably most people would
Yeah.
have thought a year and a half ago that Facebook was the gold standard. Facebook holds the record for the greatest single day loss in stock history last November, not this
It, and
in November 2021.
and so this is, we're talking the tech sector, right? So you've got people who
Yeah,
are investing in the tech sector who aren't seeing the
they're not
benefits of that
safe.
now.
No.
Um, but if they had have taken even half of that or a part of
Mm-hmm.
that and put it into gold, it may not have been hot flash advances and hot flash gains,
You
but
wouldn't have lost a nickel,
they wouldn't have lost a dime. Exactly. Yeah.
not a dime, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get affected by inflation. If
And
if if
as
if
a
money
note,
gets more expensive, the gold you just cash it out for that more expensive money, right?
exactly. And as a side note, we are not paid by gold people. We stand nothing to gain. This is simply just advice and information, not even advice, information we've come across and we're going to act on that we felt the need to share. So don't take
And
this as
entertainment
us giving
and
advice.
entertainment.
And entertainment. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we obviously we're entertaining just to listen to, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. And look at in my case.
and well, obviously, more in your case with that fancy beard, motherfucker.
Yeah. You
Not
shall
everybody,
not
not
pass.
exactly. Not everybody can rock a beard like this man. Let me tell you.
Uh,
And I think we've covered everything, Jay. How are you? Did you cover everything you wanted to cover?
um, I think I did. I guess what I would say to people is this: um, I think that you should always take a look. You should always examine, but you really need to. If there's one thing that you could have learned, and that I could offer you for the future, it would be: do not trust your fiat money. Everybody who ever did, unless you were born with $1 billion, everybody who's ever held fiat money lost money.
So,
If you had $1,000 5 years ago, the government pissed on it and basically took a quarter of its value away and gave you the middle finger and said, "Go fuck yourself. I'll print what I want." That's what they did to you, right in your face.
100%. And
if your neighbor did that to you, like say your neighbor borrows your shovel, right? And they beat the shit right out of it, and the handle's broken when they bring it back or whatever. What are you gonna say? My shovel's worth half of what it was when I gave it to you. What's he gonna do? Whatever. Shut up, dude. No, obviously not. But you'll take that from your government. And I don't think you should. I think you should start to migrate, or at least reduce the amount that you are completely restricted to that. And if you think, oh, well, I need to be able to spend this money and everything like that, there's a crypto ATM in Calgary. There's a crypto ATM in Vancouver. Well, there's probably multiples, but I know that there's in those locations. There's one in Toronto. There's one in Regina. There's going to be more. And all you do is put your card in and take your friggin' money out. I mean, you can do that. It's there. You can trade with people. You know somebody who's got a tool or something you want. You can trade.
Let's just so two things. Number one, we are saying to people they can take a fiat currency that they earned from gold out of a bank. And so my personal advice, and I'm not basing this on any kind of knowledge, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take anything out in fiat currency, and let's define what fiat currency is for those of us that are maybe those of you that don't know what it is. It's basically a government has created money out of thin air, so it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by a good or by any kind of. It's basically debt. So they've created debt for their citizens and created a fiat currency out of that, or they are creating for fiat currency out of that. So when you take this money out of your account in paper, say $50, $100 bills, you're still taking out debt. So be aware of that, and be aware that the financial system is going to change. And one thing that will not change, that can never change, is the value of gold and its influence on the market, the currency market. And I think that's important. I think that's really important for people to know that, if you cash this gold out, it's no longer worth the gold it was worth when you had it in the gold store, let's say. So when things are still functioning and everything's going well, and we have our crypto exchanges working and nothing has gone for a shit, then you can keep it in crypto. But if you don't have that physical gold and things go for a shit, you're fucked either way, because it's still worth nothing.
Oh, yeah. And one more overview point. If you think that you live in a country that's so strong that the dollar's that you're never going to see stagflation, and that the bottom isn't going to drop out and your money's going to go to zero, Germany created the gold standard in 1870, and they had gold for every single bill. How long did that last? 42 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And you had to get a wheelbarrow to buy a loaf of bread in Germany. That's how fast that can happen. So don't think it can't happen there, because it can.
Or here, rather. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and also those debts that are used to print that money, a lot of your debt belongs to China. Those bills you got in your wallet, China bought the debt on that. That's another scary.
Yeah, that's a whole other matter, and let's not get into that. And there's we don't want to overwhelm people here. So I think we are good here, Jay. I'm gonna just sort of end us here. Thanks everybody for joining us. I am Scott. This is Jay. We are the Unacceptables, and this is our first stream. Thank you very much for joining us. Much love, and buy
Happy
some
New Year.
gold. Happy New Year. Buy some gold. Buy some gold.
Yeah, get some gold. Cheers.